Hello, welcome to quarantine day number, I don't know what it is. I think this is my third day in a row not going out. And before that, it was about a week of just little strolls through the park and social distancing. But anyways, um, you've probably listened to a lot of people say how this isn't just punishment for us to have to stay inside, but it's an opportunity for us to recreate ourselves or to find something new in our lives, to do things that we didn't have an opportunity to do before. And I agree with that, and I've said that. So I wanted to talk to you about some of the things I've been doing. I've been getting gung-ho about my health. I've been gung-ho for a while. Any of you know me know that in 2013, I was stricken very severely with epilepsy. Changed my life forever. At that point, I was crippled by it. I was medicated. I lost about a week of consciousness. I don't remember little flashes of the ICU and being suffering post-traumatic stress syndrome from being strapped down, what they would call a code gray, when the patient's out of control, because I was out of my mind. It all started the morning of September 10th, 2013. I woke up and something was just not right. And I didn't know what it was because I'd never had a seizure before that I knew of. And I stumbled out of my room in this house in Eugene, Oregon, where I was living, and the kind lady that was my housemate across the hall from me was coming out of her room at the same time. And I said to her, Stacy, I don't feel very well. Can you help me? I can't make it down the stairs. And I walked down the stairs, grabbed my keys to my car. Somehow it's like in little, my mind fritzed out so much that I gave the keys to the landlord who was over at the house at the time, and another guy who lived there, a friend of mine, said, take me to the emergency room. Something's going really wrong with me and I don't know what it is. And they listened and they drove me to the hospital, and it wasn't the right hospital because I needed to go to a neurological unit because I was having a severe series of grand mal seizures that hit me right when I got buckled into the car, and that was it. I was out. Just little blips and bleeps along the way. And I don't know, it must have been a few days later, but it seemed like eternity. I came to, and I'm in a hospital bed, and my mother's there, and my mother was living in Massachusetts at the time, and I'm in Oregon, and she's there, and people are around me looking at me. I'm like, what's going on? I'm in a hospital bed, and I was so drugged up. I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know the magnitude of it. I was, in a state of shock. But found out that I had undergone a biopsy of my brain. My head was opened, and a plate was put in my scalp after a little bit of my brain was removed to see the center of where there was a dark mass on an MRI indicating that I had a very large brain tumor about the size of 2.5 golf balls around. And they didn't know what kind of tumor it was, what it would be, and I didn't know. I didn't ever remember consenting to getting my brain biopsied. I know that my brother was the first family member on the scene. My mom was at the hospital. It was catastrophic. Like, I don't even really know what happened, and the memory's not there. But it did change my life because I went and did physical therapy. All this stuff happened at once. It was like life shift. I was doing a lot of unhealthy living. I'd just gotten through ending a long relationship and moving away. I was in California for a minute and back to Oregon, tried to restart my life in Eugene. I was managing at a brew pub, and I was doing really well for myself, but I wasn't being healthy. Um, I thought that some of the things I was doing was being healthy enough, like I was vegan, or I don't know, was you know, that's probably all that I was doing that was healthy, and that wasn't probably healthy enough because it just because you're vegan doesn't make you healthy. Um, so I was released from the hospital. My friend Jay was there. He was borrowing my car because I was like, I can't drive. Take my car, and he did take it. And him and his ex-girlfriend went all over Kingdom Come and back. And anyways, he came back, and I left the hospital about a week later. I think 10 days later, and just given like 3 scripts for medications to take for my seizures, and it really affected me tremendously at that time. By the time I left, the seasons were changing, and I was slipping into a very deep depression, and having to wait a week to go back to find out what kind of a tumor I had in my brain. You know that there's no such thing as a good brain tumor. Come to find out, my brother drove me back down to Springfield by Eugene, Oregon, about 100 miles south of Portland, where I was staying. Portland and Vancouver, Washington, right nearby. And I found out when I got there that I had an oligodendroglioma, which is a type of brain tumor that is a glioma, which means it's a lesion tumor. It's not a solid mass, it's a breaking apart. So I was literally had a nervous breakdown. Physiologically, I had a nervous breakdown. My nervous system broke down. And I think a lot of that stemmed from emotions, behaviors, lifestyle, just a lot of things. I was smoking cigarettes a little bit at the time. All kinds of things, drinking alcohol. So I was 37 years old. I'm like, shit, never saw this coming. Wasn't really grateful for my life. Just there was a point before that I really didn't even want to live. I thought, God, if you're there, take me. I don't want to live. Be careful what you ask for, because once all that hit and I went through all the various stages of loss and grief and anger, depression, denial, bargaining, I came to realize that I'm going to do whatever it takes to live and live as best I can for as long as I've got left. And I tried a lot of things, and I relied on a lot of people to save me, but it was only me that was able to do it for myself. I fell down so many times, was so depressed, thought about suicide, and thought about, how can I get out of this? How helpless am I? How weak am I? But eventually, I found little things that progressed me along, little victories. There were lots of considerable setbacks, and there still are some, but I pushed myself really hard to get better. I did undergo chemotherapy and radiation treatment 3 years after my diagnosis at Providence Medical Center in Portland. I underwent a month of getting zapped every day with radiation. My hair all fell out, said it would never grow back again. It hasn't grown back the way I would have liked it to, but I'm so grateful for what I have, and I didn't even care at a point. I'm just like, just want to live. I don't care if I'm a bald freak and have just like a big patch missing on one side. I think the realization for anyone that loses their hair through chemo or radiation is that you're ready for it, but when it does start falling out in clumps, it really does hit home. There's no real preparation for that when you see your hair just coming out, and it's it's a it's a wake up call for your own mortality, your own fragile life. But when I got through all that, the after effects of the radiation and the chemotherapy on my stomach, I was taking oral chemotherapy pills for a month as well. I decided to stop after a month. They wanted me to do 9 rounds, and I said, I'm not taking poison anymore in my body. My body's a temple, and from here on forward, we're just going to do everything we can as far as lifestyle shift, health, diet. And so I started walking. I walked and walked every day. I did hikes. I listened to audio books, and I would just walk all over Portland, rain or shine. I would walk and walk and walk. And I found the first few years I was very depressed in the fall and into the winter holiday months. I became very depressed as the daylight hours dwindled down. But I always found that after I got through the New Year's and the solstice, the winter solstice came and the daylight hours became longer, I built momentum, and I started walking more, and I started going online and finding books and getting books in the library and reading about healing and how the brain can heal itself. And people say, what should I do? What should I do? If you're determined to do anything, you have access to the internet. You can find millions and millions of things. A lot of them aren't verifiable, but you know what? When you're desperate to be healthy and to live, you'll do anything. You'll look and you'll listen and you'll walk miles to find health and health care. And I found the Quest Center for Integrative Health, and their executive director and their co-founder, they took me under their wing, and they put me in touch with people that could help me and teach me more and more about naturopathic medicine and healing, and just how I could change my mindset to be happier and healthier. Just garnering that grateful gratitude towards life really changed me. And it wasn't a quick overnight change. It was gradual. And I found different people who truly inspired me. Some of them, I'll just mention a few that I found their books of. I really liked listening to Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle about the power of now, about being present. I started listening to guided sleep meditations on YouTube, and just finding all the things that I could find that worked for me. And then just reading lots of self-help books. I moved away from like novels. I was listening to and reading a lot of John Grisham and Stephen King, who I love, but I just redirected like my time. My sponge was soaking in everything that I could find to heal. And when I got into that mindset, I noticed things really started to change a lot for me. I know that the radiation did something to reduce the size of the brain tumor, but the epileptic seizures didn't go away until I started doing breath work and meditating, calming my mind, letting go of the anxiety. I stopped watching television so much. I would go weeks without watching TV. And then I came across, a few years ago, the Wim Hof method. I learned about this guy, Wim Hof, who was the Iceman, who would immerse himself in cold water and do breathing techniques and did all these crazy things, seemingly crazy things that he had all of these Guinness records for. But he was stressing the point that any human being has the ability to do these things and to be happy and healthy. And I thought about it. I was like, what is more important than happiness and health? And there's nothing more important than that, because without that, you can't have anything else. You can't have money. You can't have relationships. If you on your own are not happy and healthy, So those things have been the cornerstone to everything that my life is about these days. I'm learning still. The good thing about it is there's always more to learn, and there's always more room for growth. And um, I've learned to surround myself more and more with people who appreciate my goal and support me on my mission. And I've even stayed with other people who aren't on the same path, but people who I think I can inspire. And hopefully, what I'm doing gives other people a sense of hope that they can see something in me that they see in themselves. Because I never knew I would be in this situation. I never knew that my identity would be surrounded by my aspiration towards inspiration, towards health, and towards becoming the best version of myself that I can be. And I'm far from that still, but I'm working on it. I've had relationship issues in my life. I've talked about in the past on my Facebook pages, and having codependency issues. I've been in disastrous marriages and had, fallouts in different relationships, friendships, partners. But I'm letting go of that, and I'm trying not to hold any of my ego. I'm trying not to let my ego lead the way. It does. I mean, everybody's ego is there. It serves its purpose, but I'm trying to stay present, and I'm trying to stay grateful every moment, and just reflect on every decision that I'm making to say, is this serving me? And fall in love with somebody and they decide one day that something about you isn't what they want, and then they leave you. The old me would say, let's show them that they're going to be sorry for this. But in reality, you can't make somebody feel any way, and you can't shame or guilt somebody into being something that they're not. You have to lead by example and try to be the best person that you can be for you. Because at the end of the day, when you're in a quarantine situation like I am right now, it's me that I have to answer to every day. Sure, there's the essentiality, the essentialness of interdependency, meaning not codependency, not looking to others for your source of happiness, but working with other people to bolster and increase the overall happiness within the group and the community and society. And this is something I'm greatly working towards. I don't really try to worry about what the 25-year-old or 18-year-old or 35-year-old version of myself would think about me now. It's what I think about me now, and I like me, and I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to keep unfolding to becoming a better version of myself. And a lot of this is going to involve continued education. You're never too old to keep learning. In fact, you should always keep learning new things. It's exciting and it's fun. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow and whatever comes. But I'm also very rooted and grounded into today and grateful for it. So that's about all I have for this video right now. I'm drinking a little shake here, putting really healthy food into my body because I look at my body as a temple. And if I want to get through these times with this coronavirus going around, I really have to treat my body like it is as important as I believe it to be. Feeding it crap is not going to serve me. So this is it. This is my one body, and I'm going to do my best to keep it strong. I'd love to hear from people to know what their journey's like and what they're working on and how far they've come. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Peace, y'all.